Hi everybody, and welcome to this short video on creating, formatting, and sharing Google Documents. Let's get started. The first thing you want to do is go to Google Drive. When you log into your Google account, Drive should be up at the top, or you've got a series of apps right there, and you get this Create button right here. So what I'm going to do is take you through my workflow for creating a document. And a workflow is just the series of steps that I go through every time to make sure that I do it right every time. So you hit create and you get a series of options: folder, document, present, spreadsheet, form, drawing. We're going to do document because our focus today is on MLA. So you hit document and then it opens a new tab if you're in Chrome. And the first thing I do is save the document. And you want to think in terms of how the teacher is going to view and search the document. If it's just for you, then you can just call it narrative or compare, contrast, or whatever. But the teacher is going to get 25, 50, 75, depending on how many classes they have, narrative documents. So they want some way to quickly and easily sort them. So the easy way to do that is your last name. So let's say my name is John Smith. So Smith, all your documents would start with Smith, and then let's call it narrative. And that's probably all you need to do. You can put in a date if you want, but as long as it's got Smith and narrative in that order, then you're going to be good to go. Okay, so now the next thing you do is up here in the upper right, share. At first it says it's private only to you, right? You can see, well, it's me that's doing it. If you invite people, then they can view or edit. The default is edit. You can comment, view, or edit. Your teacher, you always want to let them edit the paper so that they can mark it up as much as they want. So let's say we're going to share it with Miss Easton. So you start to type in the last name, and it starts to auto-populate down there already. So use the chsd117.org because that's the new Gmail address, and we're moving that way. And you can choose whether or not to notify the person by email or just when they go into the drive. It's probably a good idea to notify people via email, but since this is just a test, I don't want to bother Miss Easton too much, so I'm just going to share and save. Skip sending invitations. If you skip sending an email notification, folks will have to sign in before they notice what you've shared. Yeah, I get it. That's what I just told you. All right, done. So now it's shared. So you can see it, the teacher can see it, and the teacher can see everything that you've done. So the very first thing we want to do is just the basic formatting. Now that we've got it created and shared, you don't ever have to save, by the way, because Google just saves it automatically. So what do you need for formatting? Let's look at the font. MLA requires Times New Roman font at all times. Look at that, it's right up at the top. And it should be 12 points. Always, always, always. Times New Roman 12-point font. Be creative in your content. Be lockstep in your formatting. It's easier to read that way. And then line spacing is over here. You can see right here. And we want it double spaced. If you establish that right at the very beginning, then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the essay. Now we're going to put in your page numbers. And you want the page numbers to change with every page. And you don't want to have to go in and write it because that's going to mess up your formatting a lot. So if you go to Insert, go down to Page Number. At the top of the page is MLA. And Google defaults to the upper right corner, which is exactly what you want. Now notice how the 1 is highlighted. If you just delete 1 and write in 2 or something like that, or if you accidentally delete 1 and then try to rewrite it, it's just going to be the number 1, and the number 1 is going to repeat across all the time. If you don't touch it, though, it's going to automatically change with each page. So you move your cursor to the left. You can either click to the left or hit the left button and then type in your last name. So I'm calling myself Smith. And then hit a space. Smith space 1. Now when we get to page 2, it'll say Smith page 2, space 2. Now in the upper left-hand corner, now that we're done with our header, the header isn't part of the document. It's a separate kind of thing. It's outside the margins. We put in our personal information. So John Smith. Who do we send this to? Ms. Easton. Ms. Easton, English 1. And the date, you want to go with MLA formatting, which is day, month, year. So it's 21 August 2013. And you don't need a comma because August separates 21 and 2013, so you don't look like, you only need the comma when it's August 21st, 2013, so that you don't get the 21 and the 2013 all smushed into one big number. You hit enter, down one. Now you've got to put in the title. And rather than hitting tab key a bunch of times, you hit this, center align. And I always write in, even if I don't know what I'm going to title it, I write in something title as a space filler so that I remember to put it in. I usually write the title last. I take it from something interesting in the paper itself. Now, paragraphs are always indented, so your first paragraph, you hit the tab key once. This is a great paragraph. It is full of interesting evidence. For instance, comma, Bill and Ted once said, be excellent to each other. And that's 2 words. End quote. And then your citation goes in here. We'll just, I don't know, Reeves. So we'll assume that came from Keanu Reeves. And this shows that you should, come on, I'm trying to type too fast, be excellent to each. Next paragraph. See how I indented it. I don't know why it doesn't like that. Whatever. See how I did that? You always tab in. That's separating your paragraphs. Paragraphs are going to be your ideas. Then let's assume I wrote a whole page and it's very cool and full of profound thoughts. And now it's time to cite my sources. And we'll say that this came from Acceleration. You go back to the center line, right, works cited. There's always on the last page, and it gets its own page all to itself. And then we use it, you can build your citation from scratch, but there will be a few times when you actually have to write a research paper that has evidence in it that you're going to be writing it by hand. So I have no problem with using something like Citation Machine. You select MLA because that's what we write in, unless you go off to college and they start using APA there, but MLA is perfectly fine. It's what we expect in high school. You pick what it is you're doing. Let's say this is a book. And then you plug in the information here. Let's. I don't have a book in front of me, so we'll just make it up. Author's name. We'll say it was. We'll say that Keanu Reeves actually wrote Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and that it was a novel. Details of book: edition, volume number. Unless that's a serious issue in the book, you probably don't need to worry about it much. Publishing city. That was clearly published in New York, and it was published by Random House. You find all those on the inside pages. There's that page with a lot of boring information in it, and it's in there. 1986, I'm going to guess. And did you actually read it as a print book? Did you read it as an ebook on a Kindle or an iBook or something like that? Or did you download it as a PDF on the web? Those are your choices there. So plug all that stuff in, and there's a big thing for make your citation. Look at that. It's saying it's not going to remember it, so copy it and paste it before you lose it. Now notice this. In this little space, see how the second line is indented? That's to show that it's still part of this line and not part of another entry. So you always, if it's a 2-line entry, you always want to indent the second line. And it also tells you how to cite it, how to use, how to reference that source in your article. If you give a quote from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, then you would write Reeves after that, and the page number if you have it. So I hit Control C to copy, and I go back to my paper, and then I go back to left, align, And there I don't have to worry about whether or not it's indented on the second line because it only took up one line. Now these should always be alphabetized by the last name or the first word of your entry. So if you had something that started with S, it would go here. If you had something with Q, it would go up there. And there you have an MLA formatted essay in Google. You shared it with your teacher and gave it a usable name. Enjoy!